For joining. Today we'll be talking about mobile user acquisition, specifically for mobile games, and we will discuss various tips and trends you can implement for your UA campaigns. My name is Günay. I am co-founder of Gamelight. Gamelight is one of the largest rewarded mobile marketing platforms right now in the market, even though we launched a year ago, and we managed to scale so much thanks to our AI algorithm that we built in-house. Our AI algorithm optimizes towards size, ROAS, ARPA, and retention for partners. I myself have been in the industry for more than 10 years, and the last 5 years I've been an entrepreneur and launched 3 mobile app companies. I will let you guys introduce yourselves. Who would like to start?
Yeah, maybe I can start. My name is Mo. I've been in Technician for about 2 years, about 3 years. I'm working as a user acquisition manager. We are a hyper-casual company, and we are trying to go to hybrid like all of the other hyper-casual companies. And what we do a lot is we actually try a lot of new user acquisition channels just to boosting growth and try to get more profit. And maybe I can pass to Maria.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria. I come from sorry.
Grace Button.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. Again, I'm Maria from coming from Agile. I've been in the industry for now almost 10 years. Previously at AppLovin for many years. So I mostly work on boosting growth for companies like Tab Nation and others in gaming, and Agile is specifically known for its playtime ad unit, where we reward users for playing the games for a certain period of time or achieving a certain progression in the apps.
Hi, hello everyone, I'm Yolanda. I work for NativeX. We are a marketing agency. So in terms of mobile games, we are actually providing all-round services to our clients, ranging from media buying itself, user acquisition campaigns, influencer campaigns, and creative productions. So personally, I joined the gaming industry back in 2010. Starting with the PC, it was still the PC MMO RPG game age, and then later on, shifting to mobile, eventually ending up here as what I'm doing right now.
Hi everyone, my name is Niels. I've been in the industry for about 15 years now, working in performance marketing, performance advertising. I work on a variety of web platforms and mobile platforms before I made the move to SaaS to Singular. So right now I work with a lot of networks and platforms out there, Agile and Gamelight being 2 of them. And I also in touch with people that are looking to change their MMP. So I could be large game developers or people that are just starting out and want to acquire some users.
Cool, thank you guys. Now starting with the first question. We know that humans, we tend to do what we've been doing, right? People don't like change so much, and it comes also the same for UA managers. Sometimes they repeat what their peers have been doing in the industry, or their leads have taught them, or their colleagues are doing, but sometimes they could be outdated strategies. What do you think they should absolutely stop doing right now? They have to ditch those strategies and methods.
Maybe for us it's like the manual work, because for us we have 30 to 40 UA networks. So it's actually quite a lot to run by one UA manager for several games. So what we want to do is try to automation, especially for the subsources for all the traditional SDK networks. It's quite essential for us to automate all, to do less manual work as possible, as much as possible, because it takes too much time, and sometimes the results is not that rewarding compared to getting new apps and new networks that is actually scaling quite good. So for me, it's manual work.
It can get pretty boring, right, if you just keep on doing the same thing the whole day. Okay.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it a mistake, but what we are observing from the agency perspective is that more and more advertisers, they are stopping with the mindset of I might have a one-fit-all solution. Yeah. So in the old days, probably I still see more people from the industry. They think that okay, so we know how to do user acquisition. We have a really good team with Facebook advertisement. Yeah. So we are seeing really good results, and probably this is enough for us. So in the recent years, it's like less and less people think about it in this way, and especially people realize that the industry is evolving so fast that there are new platforms, new solutions, new technologies coming out like every day. So what we're seeing is that more and more people come to me, they say, okay, Yolanda, I'm targeting this country, I want to know, if you have any ideas of what is regionally available there. What is like maybe not existing outside of Brazil or outside of Japan, but everybody is actually doing there, we should be there. What's your recommendation? Or even for the same platform, yeah? So even for the same platform, for example, for TikTok, the algorithm itself is ever evolving as well. So probably if you test the platform 2 years ago, you drew the conclusion that okay, maybe I pause the campaigns. It always makes sense that I start to see my clients. They always come back after 6 months, after 12 months. They say, okay, I heard good things about it, so I would like to restart the test. So these are the trends that we're seeing. People are starting to be more open towards testing things that they didn't know that it's even existing. Yeah? And they are open enough to retest the same things just to figure out, okay, with the right combination of choices, probably this is the correct thing for me at this moment. So this is the trend we're seeing.
But can you judge UA managers so much, because they have seen so many affiliate networks that have frauds and bots everywhere, and they do, when some visitor from affiliate network would recommend them to do something, and they've been burned so much over years that they trust those people and they run the campaign, and then the results is not good. Maybe that's why they're a bit more careful when they hear from other people something actually that would make sense to try, but they're more careful not trying those out. What do you think?
I would actually leave I think it's a better question if I could cue you, because from the MMP perspective, actually, there are tools, there are solutions to make actually our clients make informed decisions on which to try out and which not to.
Yeah, it's called proactive fraud. This is available, of course, and that's not something I want to talk about now. But of course, if you're running what I would call a tier 3 partner, these are your typical affiliates. You get approached with them probably on a daily basis. They've got fantastic pockets of traffic. We know the spiel, right? You can try them out, but have some measurements in place where you can quickly detect, hey, am I seeing a gazillion clicks, for example, right? Or is this traffic suspicious? So I wouldn't disqualify, working with them, and I would take care of your budget and your money. I think what I wanted to add to this conversation is we speak with two kinds of customers in my role. So we have say your large game developers that have been working with the same set of networks for quite a long time. They're getting a bad deal from their current MMP, and they're coming to us and say, hey, we're kind of hitting a problem here on iOS. I can't seem to scale my campaigns on Facebook. I'm getting bad results on TikTok. Google is not working for me. And we'll then look at that data and say, hey, where are basing your decisions on? What are you using as your source of where are the installs coming from, and how do you judge that performance? And we quickly then find is there might be some measurement choices that these developers are making and that having consequences on, hey, where can you scale your campaigns? Then the second group, that's when you say, hey, we work with 40 different partners. If you're new to the industry right now, for you to kind of break into the walled gardens, or for you to be successful on Facebook, good luck. You need to have UA expertise. It's great to see someone like NativeX to have that on TikTok. But what you quickly find is that you're going to have to go beyond, the Metas of this world, the Molokos of this world. But you'll find what I call tier 2s here, There's a lot of networks out there that can provide you with very valuable users, but yes, to manage them for the different networks, you need to have like tools in place that give you that overview. What is working, what is not, what keywords, what creators, what countries, right? A lot of people don't have that stack available to them. So there's a lot of things that, from the setup point of view, people can look at that they might be doing wrong at the moment.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, if we transition to the content side of this question, what do you think the UA managers should start doing? For example, one of them being using new tools, innovative tools. What else could be there that would boost the performance of their campaigns?
I think I think if we talk about the
This is working better. I guess just to piggyback on what Neil said, that a lot of the issues that come from today's or come up to today's new advertisers, really, or new game developers, come from the fact that they look at a lot of the past performance and success, and I think many people have not actually cleaned their data for the COVID surge, and that has, to an extent, put their idea of the pricing, the CPIs, the available scale, and available inventory to a bit of a skewed position. And if I were to think about what you should be doing right now, is maybe when you're starting off specifically, that you don't look at the last 2 years and assume that this is going to be the price. Like, you have to kind of look at the maybe last 30 days, last 60 days of the baseline cost, and then understand that there's maybe a higher entry point, and that will also just cause a lot less friction on the relationships between advertisers and networks, where a lot of the testing that, for instance, Yolanda recommends, are ended prematurely, because partners assume that, within a week I will just have my whole LTV curve for that network ready to go, and that's for sure going to work for me. So I think a good starting point would be to liaison more with the network prior to launch, and actually really say, okay, well, this is what we've seen, this is what we've tried, it didn't work, and really investigate what didn't work, so that the next test that you run is far more successful.
It's talking about learning periods. I'm thinking now that there have been, we do UA for our own apps too, right? And there are so many DSPs that approach us and ask for 50, 60, 70K budget for learning period, and afterwards it might start working. What is your opinion about it? Because it starts getting a bit too much. Why would you need 50, 60, 70K testing budget for it to start even bring any results, maybe? What do you think?
It's difficult to comment on that, right? But like, at the end of the day, like, if you look at where the DSPs are getting their supply from, it's like from the open web, which means that like everyone has access to, in essence, like the same supply, are bidding on the same supply. So you kind of get a race to, hey, like, who's having like the best algorithms, who's having like the best technology, who's operating at relatively like low margins as well, right? Because in the end of the day, like, that is a margin game. Now, if you look at the data that we have available in our reports, you see that there's like a steady group of DSPs that have been consistently performing very well, and there have been some like kind of like movers and shakers, so to say. I can definitely call out Moloco. I think that's like not even a secret in the room. Like, they've been doing very well this past year, and that goes at the expense of like other like larger DSPs like in the industry. I think it always gets a bit trickier when like there's got a new kid on the block that will come to you and say, hey, I need 50, 60, 70 grand. In that case, if I were like the UA manager or a performance marketing lead, hey, give me your references, right? Who are you working with? How is your algorithm different? How is your technology different? In which countries are you performing differently? And like, no, these are very legitimate questions. Giving someone upfront that 50, 60K, I'd be a bit cautious. And then to add to that, I mean, if you want to try, I mean, I've already that Joe, right? With smaller budgets, you can probably get like a group of users that are immediately going to be driving value to you as well. So look at your mix. Do you need another DSP? Do you already have a DSP? What is it going to add to it? Where do you get your users from? Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Maybe if I can add to it, I think it also, as you start and you determine your audience, then you can, through that, you can determine where to find that audience as well, right? So again, when you have a new game that you think is going to be quite generic and everyone would want to play it, then you probably will go to open up very broad campaigns. But if you're trying to test something on smaller audiences, then of course this ask of insane test budgets will be quite difficult to bear. From my end, whenever I think about the amount, to me it never is about the money per se, but more so the volume that allows you to judge and make optimizations. I think of course with high LTV games, when say the average bid they have is between $5-10, those test budgets immediately rise up to 50K very easily, if not more. But for games that are maybe not as complex or have lower LTVs, through those smaller tests, you can get enough volume to already figure out where to start placing your bets.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have anything to add regarding what to start doing?
For us, it's like to be more open to find new networks, because I know a lot of publishers, they are still using the traditional networks of videos and also the social network and the video networks. For us, it's we are looking a lot for the CPE networks or the incentivized networks. Those are actually quite promising in terms of the volume and also the user quality, because we know the users are paid to play until which level or play until what time. But the challenge here is that when we are using a lot of networks, we are not sure which networks are bringing us the organic uplift and additional volume. So it's actually quite important to understand which networks are bringing those additional volume and to decide if it's just stealing volume from another network but with a higher price.
How do you measure it?
We are still working on that. Yeah, we are trying.
We should talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on that point also iOS has created so many issues to really measure the organic uplift, especially if you are leveraging SK App Network for attribution. Then literally that attribution gets very, very blurry. So yeah, maybe Singular is a much better source to...
No, I mean, what I wanted to add here is if you want to do any like uplift testing, and if you run across 40 different partners, the first thing you need to do is to get your costs in one place as well, right? To actually determine like where have I been spending and what am I seeing on the bottom line. Like I said, like that's something that we have the capability to do so. But I mean, I would even say this is a trend. There's three ways in which you do like your attribution, your analysis in a way, right? It's looking, hey, like what are your networks, your partners reporting? What is your MMP reporting? Even like Ford, maybe like what are Apple reporting? But then also like, what am I seeing in my bottom line? And like, what is the effect of having one partner on adding organically, for example, kind of pinching away from your larger networks? If you have the headcount to do that, great. Most people don't have that, so they're going to be relying on technology to do it for them.
Yeah, and just to speak to those alternative channels, not to do a shameless plug, but actually coming from a traditional video rewarded network for years when our app hub, and of course has a massive reach by now, but now looking at how differently users behave on the incentivized traffic, that again is it's just a different transaction, because in the end of the day on regular video inventory, you're asking users to pay with their eyeballs by watching the ads, right? And so you don't really reward them much for anything other than telling them, okay, that is the cost of playing the game for free. So it's interesting to introduce this reward of additional bonus points or coupons or coins or whatever they get in the publisher app for being engaged with the game that they would anyway play. But I think it makes them feel a little bit less ripped or stripped from the time that they have to spend watching ads, because then they know in the back end that, oh, okay, I'm still getting some rewards for it.
And the same comes from advertiser point of view, right? Like game like similar like Agile, we have also like reward playtime, and the point was that for users it might be sometimes difficult to pass through some points, right? There are tutorials, there are difficult parts in the beginning of the games that might be a bit boring, might be too tough to pass, and the idea is that you help them to go through those points and be more engaged. So it's basically win for publishers that show those ads, win for advertisers that get those users, and win for users that actually earn rewards thanks to this too. Now talking about how we promote things, let's talk about creatives. There is one trend that has been rising since many years now, since like last 6-7 years, which is misleading ads. We've seen them everywhere. They started step by step, and now I think there's barely any ad that is not misleading. I don't know, I was thinking in the last 6-7 months, I haven't downloaded any game that would be what was shown in the ad actually. Whatever you download, it ends up being something different. What is your opinion about this trend, guys?
We're actually doing a lot of misleading ads.
It works, I see it.
Yeah, but however, in my opinion, it's not that misleading ads that is the problem. Actually, since user may be downloading the game with a misleading ad, but in the end they stayed because of the game quality. So if the game quality is good enough, they will install the game and start playing it, and you will be rewarded with LTV from them. But if the game quality is not good, even with misleading ads, you won't be running the campaign profitably. So it doesn't make any sense to run the misleading ads if in that case.
So from our perspective, we are actually seeing more and more platforms taking care of this part. Yeah, the media platforms itself. Either that they have a mechanism that they do pre-approval when you upload the ads. There's a chance that your ads get rejected if it's like too deceptive. Or they're starting to give options to the audiences, yeah, to the ad viewers. You can actually report what is wrong with this ads. Yeah, either it's abusive, either it's a fake advertisement. You can actually send this information back, and the platform is going to do something towards it. Yeah, and we are seeing, for example, platforms like I see ads served by Mintigirl, for example. There's a line actually on the ads itself saying, okay, you would have to complete or level yourself up towards a certain extent before you see this content in the game. So that means they do have the structure there, that they do have the mechanism there, that they're looking at what ads are being shown, and they are communicating with the advertisers what can be done and what cannot be done there.
But is it a responsibility of publishers or advertisers to be compliant, or because like now this kind of touched the topic of being ethical, right? If it's ethical towards users to show misleading ads. And for example, I was thinking that one of the game publishers, large game publishers, I think it was Century Games, they did for Dragonscape, they even changed their app store. They changed the icon, they changed their screenshot. So you see an ad, you see some quiz game, you go to the store, you see another quiz game, and you download, you see something completely different. So they go extra step to make sure everything is misleading, that users don't drop off before. And what is your opinion about this?
I think first and foremost, I find it interesting that we talk about the opportunity for people to report these ads. If we kind of go outside of our ecosystem, right, I don't think that this is a problem for users. We talk about fake ads because it's something that has been like a trend in our industry. People go to like events like these and hear, hey, this really boosts your conversion rate. So that's why developers are using them, because it's a supply-driven industry. You want to get access to users. And I also agree that if publishers don't want these kind of ads, there's technologies to get rid of those ads as well. It's probably going to impact your monetization a little bit. or is it then something that like it's a commercial decision that you need to take? And my personal take here is like, look, like if there's no IP involved, then who gives a hoot? Down to ethics, if that's what we're talking about. Is this ethical? I mean, is it ethical for McDonald's to say, hey, we got great salad and great meat in our Big Macs? We all know it's shit, right? I think users will probably get used to seeing fake ads, will probably get used to recognizing them well at some point. So my personal opinion is that like this is a problem that will get solved by itself. I do think that there will be choices available. And I also agree, hey, like if the gameplay behind this is great and people are not doing any harm, then that's my.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting when you think about the ethics of advertising in general, right? Because yes, we can speak about the misleading ads of games, but then if you really extrapolate this to most ads, most things that you see in advertising are not actually the same, like not to kind of call out, I don't know, Coca-Cola, but really this is, as amazing as it tastes, it's really not good for you. But we still buy it and we still love the Santa and the Christmas truck, so I guess it's a whole other topic at the same time. But with misleading ads, I don't know if you guys know the backstory, but I'm almost sure that the first kind of bigger misleading ad was the Homescapes ad of the kitchen that AppLovin made, and I remember we made it back in 2017, I think, or 18. And but it actually the benefit of it was that it ended up being part of the game because they actually did develop it into the game, and so there's that benefit of people using misleading ads or as kind of a testing ground to see if users latch onto that a little bit more, and then build gameplay based on it. It's a really, if you look at it from a dev perspective, it's a really good way to really quickly test the gameplay. If it's something that will be catchy.
Now you discussed why misleading ads would work, right? Why conversion rate is good, why it makes sense, but not about the other part, which is it is as a matter of fact lie, right? We tell users that this is what you will see in the ad, this is what you see in the ad, this is what you will see when you download. But it's not a huge lie. It's not like it will hurt their lives or something. It's small, but still, if you check, for example, comments on TikTok or other media where you can actually see the reaction of users to this, they simply annoyed. Yeah, yet another ad that shows something in the video that will never be shown in the actual game. And does it actually not matter that game publishers lie to users to get higher conversion rates? Or is it not big of a lie that it actually doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want?
The users are free to not play the game if they don't like it, right? Like the cost of them trying out the game and saying, well, it's not actually what I hoped it would be, is not that high, because we also assume that that users are entitled to free entertainment. It's a lot of work to make a game, and you would know that, right? So the fact that it's being advertised and shown in a maybe not exactly the most accurate way, but who knows if, for instance, as Montegro sometimes shows, that level will be available to you if you pass to a certain point. But users are free to not engage, right? So it's also that choice. It's not forced on them to play.
Yes, so I totally agree. And the current situation is like this, and it might indeed hurting the images if you do see a lot of negative comments on the social platforms. You might be observing negative impacts, right? Maybe even decreased conversion rate or retention rate. But on the other hand, getting back to the question about, whose responsibility it would be. Is it publisher or is it the advertiser need to make sure of this? Actually, personally, I do expect that the legislation and the enforcement is going to happen eventually. Yeah. So because this kind of misleading ads doesn't only exist in our industry, it's just a new thing that is effective, sort of, in one way in our industry. But if you look at the advertising since the day it started, yeah, you used to see those kind of things like, okay, lose 15 kilos in 10 days. Is it true? It's misleading as well, right? Or you go to the supermarket, see the package of food, and basically a plain instant noodle, but with all the nice beef and vegetables strewn on the package. It's misleading as well. So eventually, when this is getting too much, we always see that different authorities, they're publishing new legislations and try to resolve the problem. So that's what I eventually expect in our industry as well.
I mean, like from a UA point of view, if you look at like why people do that, again, it's because of competitiveness, right? It's like to increase your conversion rates and try to outperform like your direct competitors. It's the same with annoying end cards, but I think we'll get to that topic as well. Now, what's more interesting here is like, hey, like if you are a network, right, and if you have like a unique set of users that you can only access through that specific partner, and if you have unique ad formats, you guys have that, right? Then that is really a nice, viable alternative to actually like run your UA campaigns off, instead of really investing time and resources to find like the next hook on any rewarded video network to remain at competitiveness. Because I think, going back to question one, there is this kind of notion of, hey, like I need to make a specific network work. If not, like, you know, like I'm gonna die, my company's not gonna survive. And that, like when there's a trend that we see, especially the second half of 2023 and like now going into 24 as well, there's new channels, right? There's CTV popping up. There's Rewarded, which is growing a lot. There's actually SMS, which is doing quite well. You don't need to get, you know, stuck in some kind of, you know, hitting a wall where like small tactics make like a small difference.
It's very interesting. Now talking about what you mentioned earlier about interactive end cards. So in the last, starting from before last year, 10 years or so, we had banners, static interstitial popping up, getting more and more annoying to users. And then it was too much, and the next thing came up, which solved a lot of problems, which was rewarded video, right? AdColony, AppLovin, Wangle, they were all like top 3 networks there, and it grew a lot. And then they came playable ads and interactive end cards, and now it's basically you watch a half-minute, 1 minute long rewarded ad, then a playable, then interactive end card, then wait for the X button to appear on the icon. So it's getting more and more annoying to users again. What do you guys think will be the next thing that could potentially replace that? Something which, what would be good for publishers, advertisers, users that could replace this trend now?
Maybe for us it's rewarded interstitials. Like you know the interstitial that have a countdown timer. Once it's hit down the countdown timer, the interstitial will pop up, and you can skip that within 3 to 6 seconds. For me, that is not that intrusive, but it's quite good for the people who want to get some reward, but doesn't want to watch every ad. Yeah, so they can skip it before the countdown run up.
And with a video or with static?
With a video, yeah.
Okay.
I think from our perspective, of course, our ad type is a little bit more alternative, right? Because it doesn't actually, you kind of have to go find it. And so it's not very intrusive for users, but it's more popular again in non-gaming apps. We're very curious to grow it in gaming apps, to give users a way to find rewards, but without them being pushed on them, kind of without their decision to do so. So that's interesting. I wonder, a few years back, also AppLovin had this idea of expandable banners. So banners expanding to full screen interstitials. Who knows if that's coming back? I know that native is coming back as well as an ad type a little bit more. So yeah, we're trying to find alternatives, but again, going back to really the economics of this industry, all developers and publishers, they need to find a way to monetize this free product that they give away. So unless the shift will turn into users being happy to pay a fee to enter into this world, which many have tried, right? Many are trying to create gaming apps that contain a lot of game, or Netflix gets into gaming and kind of trying to introduce those fees. it's very difficult because once you get users into a habit of being able to access a certain product for free, and they don't really concede to paying, then it's difficult for publishers to find an alternative way to be paid in some way.
Those in general, it seems a bit more like things that we could adapt, right? What we already have, to come up with more new things to replace some parts of the monetization that publishers do. For example, what basically you shared, it doesn't seem like something that could, in general, in any way replace rewarded ads, right? I don't mean that we have to now come up with the next big thing in 5 minutes, but maybe there can be a direction, right? For example, you both mentioned rewarded. It means that it could be that rewarded might be something that will replace what we have right now too, because it's good for users, it's good for everyone. Could there be something else? Can we think of ad formats, for example, or placements that could be, or anything else, basically not the specific answer, because specific answers are difficult to come up with, but some direction that could replace rewarded video. Do you have any thoughts?
Maybe for us, we are using quite a lot in-game ads. Like we create a banner space inside the game. It's like the highway inside the game, and also we are using a lot of audio ads. That is some new things that we are trying. That is not that intrusive, but for now the actual problem is that, especially for audio ads, it's mostly using for branding campaign. So we are not sure how we can use it for the gaming industry for now. Maybe in the future it's able to transfer to the gaming industry. I'm not sure for now, but we'll see with the time.
Yolanda, do you have opinion? Because you've seen so many ads yourself, probably because you work with other game publishers too. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I can only agree what's being said here. I mean, the problem is itself being fixed, right? Because we are seeing new channels popping up. Audio, I even mentioned them. Like, yeah, we're seeing that as well. Like in terms of growth, a channel to make it work on a performance basis. It'll take a little bit of time, but I'm sure they'll find ways. I think from like the publisher perspective, though, it's you know, when you have like a 1.5 minute end card and like the cross is like white, like on a white background, that as a user is just super annoying, and you just know that, well, we know that like the advertiser looking to get a click or an engagement, but like your kind of user experience, right, is shit. So I think there should be, in the interest of publishers themselves, like some basic standards that an industry could adhere to. I don't see that happening anytime soon, because that can probably go in against the interests of people that kind of crack the code on how to be super annoying while at the same time actually like making their product work and like getting their cash in, right? But as a long term, looking at specifically rewarded video, I would expect some publisher standards. Some people stand up and say, hey, this is what we want in our games, this is what we kind of expect as a user experience.
Thank you. Now I want to talk about a different direction, so to say. I want to ask you for specific examples of when, for example, UA campaigns for you or for your publishers happen that, for example, with unexpected or unusual strategies that they've implemented. For example, not the usual things that we say everyone should do this is normal, it will bring good results, but something they've done unexpected, something unusual, and it brought much better results in their UA campaigns. Could you think of some cases? Yeah, you have a lot of experience UA yourself, so maybe share.
Yeah, maybe for us it's like I mentioned before, the incentivized networks. I remember for Color Wars Resort, when we acquired the game, at first it was not able to scale with traditional networks like Google Ads or Applovin. So what we seek is we find Agile and also Tapjoy. They're actually boosting a lot of revenue for us, and with that this game become quite profitable, and we are able to try more things on this game and scale it with more networks with incentivized option. Yeah.
So trying more new things again, kind of, yeah, to come up with new ideas. Okay.
Our recent case, the most unexpected part is actually around UGC creators. Like, I mean, people have been talking about it recently a lot, yeah. We all know that UGC could work, but how much it could actually help you scale from non-UGC ads. So that is pretty out of the expectations, because what we could do is that keeping the cost at the same level, but actually scaling the campaigns by 50-folds. Yeah, so your ad spending actually could increase by 50-folds by just using UGC creators instead of the regular screen editing ads. So, that's also the reason that we do help a lot of clients with UGC influencer placement, and we try, to work together with the media platforms as well that we represent to work out more interesting solutions with for our clients. For example, what if we are engaging the creators to produce UGC content but charge the advertisers on CPI basis? Yeah. So on one hand, you are basically having risk-free with this test. On the other hand, you get a full knowledge of what type of UGCs work, what type of content directions work, and you can cross-apply this knowledge to all the other user acquisition campaigns to further grow it not only 50-folds, but even more than that. That's pretty out of the expectation.
Yeah, my answer is going to be a bit dry, because I look at it from the data point of view. We have a product that we call Creative Analytics, and in short what it does, it imports all of your creators into the dashboard, and it gives you an overview of conversion rates, for example, so you can see, hey, what creative is standing out across all of your rewarded video platforms. So say you're working with Unity and with AppLovin and all the other rewarded video guys. Sometimes it's actually difficult on an aggregate level to see what specific creative is actually performing of the hundreds of creators that you actually have running. I'll give you an example here. One of our customers is Rovio. They work with Miri Growth on some ideas for Angry Birds 2. And they had one concept that was basically like a gaming hook added within the video that doubled the conversion rate of that specific creative. But they could see that on the aggregate level. So it was not just one network that reported that specific insight, but they actually said, hey, this is doing very well. So they could take that out and run it across different partners. So that is a way that you can, spot an outliner. What I would add to that is creative agencies. They also have that aggregate level across all of the customers that they're working with. And we have seen Mirius as one example, right? But a lot of these creative agencies that, especially when it comes to games that have been out for a while, I'm not sure how long Angry Birds has been out, it has been a while, what can you do that performs? So I would definitely speak to these guys.
Yeah, I think this is a very good advice. Also going back to what especially new gaming publishers should be doing more is really leveraging the experience and expertise of bigger networks that offer creative services. Luna, Spark Labs, Miri, if they can also reach out to them, just because of the amount that they produce on a daily basis, and obviously all the analytics that they run behind it. It will very quickly get you insights into the best trends or the most efficient trends that are in the creative industry. But the whole rise of UGC is a very interesting one, where years back we would remove every human face from the creative, whereas after COVID and the period of people really diving into social media and building that emotional connection with people they follow, or some other, just generally those influencers, now the response to a face is so much greater than any generic content. I guess face, cats and dogs, that's the safest bet. But it's very interesting that we moved away from creatives being quite non-engaging to overly engaging through audio and human interaction. The other thing that people love is closed caption as well. That shows up as you go through text, because some of them have their audio off. So I think if we see what more we can be doing, or the out of the box ideas are really putting every kind of available stimulus into the ad itself.
Actually, talking about creatives, there was a case with Good Game Studio some years ago that they were sharing their best converting creatives, and the best one was opposite to anything they've done until then. It was a tractor on a field, and there was nothing else. It was just tractor driving on a field. There's no sound, there's no app icon, no text, no gameplay, absolutely nothing. And it was the best converting creative that replaced everything else that they had. So sometimes it does make sense to allocate some budgets, even if it's some crazy idea that no one recommends to do, because everyone says put an app icon, put a gameplay, put some text or something in it. If it's opposite and against it, it might make sense to test that. Niels, you're laughing. Yes.
13 years ago, I worked at Criteo, right, which is like retargeting. And we were working for a very large e-commerce player here in Germany. We're also like going through, hey, what creative is going to perform? Which products do we need to show? And I said at one point, say, let's replace everything by a ping pong table and just see like, what that does in terms of click rate. It was also fivefold, right? So sometimes there's no correlation whatsoever in terms of what you're trying to do and your product and like, how it works, how it clicks.
Nice. This could also probably bring a lot of failures to UA, right? Because if you test more things will fail until something works out. Could you also think of those cases when something failed in UA campaign? It was a complete failure, maybe a mistake to do this, but the result was so good that you implemented those insights into the next campaigns for you or for your partners?
Maybe it's still the CPE, because we tried a lot, so we definitely had a lot of fail. Because as a video networks, normally before we start to scale with a higher bid, and then we decrease it until the bid we want. But for the CPE, sometimes we start with a higher bid, but it suddenly spent a lot, and even though we decrease it right away, because of the principle of CPE, it's still spending quite a lot afterwards. So for that, we actually lost a lot of margin. One good thing we learned that is for now we are trying to start with from a middle point and then decide if we go up or go down, looking at the final result.
Yeah, I guess from network perspective, going back to learning, the biggest failures, if there is a very strong emphasis on the learning period, I think the biggest issue that networks will always face is with advertisers that start below their kind of baseline point and want to get hope for very extraordinary results with not a competitive bid. That's usually something I would not recommend. I would rather run a smaller test, maybe not your main geo, than go for your second best, but run a healthy test. Like you can't. It's like with us humans, you can't be eating bad things and hope you're going to end up healthy, right? Like you nourish yourself, you're healthy, and that's how even you nourish the algorithm, you get good results. That's what I would say. So I would avoid inputting not something that is not going to work out.
I'm still going to give examples from the creative perspective because it is actually the core and super important for the media platforms usually we deal with because it's mostly social and native. So what we're seeing is that either the advertisers, they don't have a starting point for the creative ideas, or they are holding too much of their existing learnings on the other platforms. They think that should be their starting point, but it's basically too much restrictions. So what happens is that, when you're sitting together for the idea sessions or brainstorming sessions with our clients, we would always like that they could share with us, what you did before. Either that you already launched platforms on video social networks or you haven't, it doesn't matter, but you can let us know what happened before, what you usually observe that is performing or not performing, and then we are going to take the information with our expertise to let you know that, okay, so this might be cross-applied, but certain things might not be cross-applied. That's one thing. And the other thing is that going back to the platform, like creative insight platforms that we were talking about, we do have a creative insights database sort of in-house as well for all the creatives that are running on TikTok. So basically, you are seeing what are the trends right now, what are your competitors doing, what are games from the same genres doing, what is actually driving the results right now. So that could serve as a good starting point as well. So my answer would be probably, know a little bit of the direction, but don't limit yourself too much.
Yeah, from a platform point of view, and like I've been working on a platform side before. I was a singer for like about 10 years. There's a kind of like what I see very often is you have an existing relationship with a network, and you've been successfully running them for quite some time, and suddenly your campaigns don't scale anymore, or like you see like a big decrease, and the immediate reaction there like tends to be, okay, we're going to be optimizing this at like the kind of micro level. We're going to be adding so many creative, we're going to be decreasing our budgets. At some point what you'll see is, hey, we only have $400 running a day, we have about 40 creators running on a specific campaign, and guess what, things don't really work out anymore. My advice there to a developer is like, hey, at one point if the relationship doesn't work anymore, just cut it completely and focus on different networks, because if not, you're going to be investing your resources where things don't work out anymore, and B, you're going to be missing out on opportunities that you might have not discovered if you keep hitting your heads against the wall.
I also want to mention what Yolanda mentioned earlier regarding creatives. One of my favorite failure to success cases is, you've all probably noticed some creatives with typos, that someone at some point did it first time, right? They made a typo and suddenly it was just working better than anything else that they had, because it catches user attention. They spend more time on the ad, especially if it's for social media. They will spend extra seconds, work well for the algorithm. And now a lot of companies intentionally do this too, right? They make some typo in the ad or cut the text weird way that's not fully fitting on the screen and so on, that to catch the attention. So sometimes it could help to have failures to learn something.
But wouldn't you then say this is not ethical if they're trying to force a click because someone just wants to see what the end of the sentence was?
It's a different thing, right? One thing is you just don't see the screen. Another thing, you take that. For example, for me, it's annoying to see an ad. I spent 30 seconds watch it, then click, go download, hoping that it gives. You get the hopes that you will play the game that you've seen, because I see the ad, I've been looking for a normal Tetris game for so long that would be just normal Tetris game. And I downloaded so many of them, and none of them is a normal Tetris game, but in the ad they are.
If you find one, let me know, because
okay,
I also, I would love one. Now I just play Woodoku like a crazy person.
Amazing. And I have last question. I'm skipping a few of them because we had a very interesting conversation, took a bit longer. The last question is about some advice to studios or UA managers that manage limited budgets, right? It could be because it's a smaller studio, they don't have enough investment, or it's a larger company with a test game, a new game or something, a new project that they want to test out. What kind of advice can you give to UA managers with limited budgets?
I would just generally say one thing that oftentimes I think every advertiser forgets, or every UA manager forgets. We have a limited number of devices on this planet. So if you can't access the audience that you need to what Neil said before through one network and it's not working, remember that all of those networks are competing for the same users. So you'll find those users somewhere else. You just need to understand what your limit of margin is that you're willing to invest, because some of them will price them higher and some of them will price them lower. So it is, I think, interesting to think about yourself as using them as really channels to get to those end users, because all of them are trying to buy them somewhere.
Yeah, for us, it's I agree with what Maria said. It's finding the new networks and testing it, and if it's not good, then cut it and find another one. In the end, you will able to find the new networks. And another thing is that I know that for different regions, that there might be some networks that is hidden. Only someone specialized in this region might know. For example, we were working with Yolanda in terms of the publishing in China. So with that, because we are not able to either we lack the expertise, either we lack the human efforts to do that. We just find someone who is trustful to give the campaign for them to manage the campaign.
To support what Yumong and Maria told is, I was talking to a UA manager recently, and they were saying that they always test new type of sources. For example, it can be rewarded or reward video, playtime, and so on. But for example, choosing between rewarded video networks, they would run only one of them. Choose, for example, ironSource and just run there because it all goes to the same place anyways. And they would just cut because they didn't have enough resources, right? They can definitely been running all of them, but they didn't have enough resources, human resources, budgets. They just decided to run just one of them because more or less they would get similar traffic eventually too.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. My first suggestion was going to be, don't spread the budget too thin. It doesn't help at all. Number two probably would be avoid fierce competitions. Everybody knows that the ROAS might be better in tier 1 countries, but it doesn't mean that, going into LATAM or going into Southeast Asia, you won't make money. If there's a limited budget, maybe we can use the limited budget to grow the profits slowly until we actually can enter into the playground of tier 1 countries. And the third piece would be try to make things viral. If the budget is limited, then the manpower resources, I hope, is not limited. Then probably we could handle some contents organically in-house, or we could be reaching out to KOCs, micro influencers in-house to see what we could be doing together. That actually helps.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about if you have like a strat budget, it's something different compared to like when someone did like an investment, you got lots of cash to spend. Matej has a lot of like content like on his website that like what kind of like media channel mix that you need with specific budgets. I would definitely check out that website. If you're bootstrap, and I'm happy that you said that, I speak with a lot of companies that are looking into like measurement solutions that haven't had their investment yet. Some of them then call me like a few weeks later and they've been successful with influencer campaigns, right? And they can run completely on that because they've got the user base in already. So it's finding a nugget outside of like where you need to be super competitive, where everyone is trying to get their supply. And again, then you end up like, on different channels, different formats, than buying some Facebook ads and running, some ironSource ads.
I think one last thing I would add is we're talking, let's say, about a specific case of a limited budget, but sometimes it's good to really zoom out and think, okay, like what kind of company are we building? Are we building, we want to be a business of game developers or a whole, gaming company? Because sometimes it makes sense to say, like we just want to focus on building games, but we want the resources of experts and go to publishers like Tap Nation and say, guys, we just want to focus on making games. Can you deploy your magic and do UA for us? Or if you still want to be an independent publisher, go leverage networks that will actually help you make ads, for instance, so you get a little bit more of that. Fish out for UA credits, see what kind of a deal you can get. If you go and are monetized through Level Play or Max, can you get UA credits from that field? Just sometimes you need to open up that, I think that business development part of your brain and try to be a bit more creative even with that, right? Like not only on the acquisition level, but on the whole business level as well.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and insights. Do we have time for questions? Does anyone have a question to our panelists? Okay, then we are good on time. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.